just, oh my goodness. Now what?
You just got to tap on okay or something like that.
Oh, let's see, go down to the bottom. It says got it.
Yeah, that's right. Got it. That's what you got to tap on.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
But if this lasts more than an hour, I just get too tired. And
Okay. Well-
I lose my interest completely if I have any in the beginning.
Well, maybe we should, let's let you tell your stories first and then we'll go to the photos. How's
Oh,
that?
well, I don't really, I really did, I started to write things down, but I didn't get very far anyway. Whatever I did write
Hey.
down is at home, not here.
I'm hearing a lot of like the microphone is brushing against something and I hear you, but then there's static brushing
My
sounds.
stomach.
Marcielle, are you really uncomfortable here?
I've got something, a pillow behind my back.
Okay.
How are you?
I can't see already. I think it's that clear. Okay, I'm gonna go pull that blind.
Okay, well, she's gonna go darken the room better and stepping on my toes as she goes. My story starts where well, several of us start in Weiser. And I can't tell my story without talking about Weiser.
That's fine. And you're
But
still kind of muffled. I'm not sure how you're holding this thing, but somehow you're muffled.
Okay, well, I moved
That's-
is it better?
That's a lot better.
I must have had my fingers over a microphone or something. I don't know.
Okay, because that sounds really good right now. Although I can't see you, but it sounds
Well,
good.
that's okay if you can't see me.
Okay.
At least I put my hair on today. I didn't put my hair on yesterday. Can't believe it. But so the rest of the family might be getting tired of Weiser stories.
No,
I
I
suspect.
want to hear your Weiser stories. Your perspective is valuable and it's going to be slightly different than anybody else's. And so I think it's important that everybody shares their stories, even if there's some common ground. It's your story, and I think it should be heard.
Well, okay.
I think so.
Well, I don't remember the day I was born, actually, but I was born at Mrs. Ossa's house, and Dr. Brown or Dr. Hancher, one or the other. Those names, always heard those names for when we were little kids. Those doctors were commonly spoken of.
I don't remember Dr. Brown, just
Dr.
Hansen.
Brown, Dr. Hancher.
Hmm.
Well, she doesn't remember, but I think I
No, but
do.
that's fine. You go ahead. This is your story.
But I wonder if on that day, I really think about Mother having me. So I'm just I wish she were here because I
Yeah.
would ask her how long she was in labor, how long she stayed home, or how long she was at Mrs. Ossa's before I was born. And are you getting something for us to eat?
Mhm.
Okay, good. We're going to have a
Oh,
piece
let
of
me-
choc-
Let me
What?
just say a documentation statement. We are April 21st, 2022. I'm Arden Compton. I'm visiting with Marcielle Compton Barney and Kamillia Compton Hardy. They are at Kamillia's home in Orange right now. And we're hearing Marcielle's stories.
Orange, California, not Orange, Florida, or some other place.
Did I say Florida?
No,
No, but it could be.
no, but there are oranges elsewhere besides California.
Okay.
Anyway,
right.
we're
Go
eating
ahead.
Easter candy.
Mm-hmm. We're eating Easter candy. Well,
We need to get technologies so that you can hand some to me.
Here you go, Artie, just a little
I
while.
bet you wouldn't eat candy. Do you eat candy?
No, I probably wouldn't want much of it. I would maybe a bite, but you're right. I'm not much of a candy eater.
Okay. Okay, well. So, growing up those first few years in Weiser was so wonderful with our cousins and our aunts and uncles and our Chandler grandparents. Not much with the Comptons, though. I don't know why, but we spent most Sundays, in my memory, at Grandma and Grandpa Chandler's, and all of us cousins, a group of us, walked from the church to Grandma's house by ourselves. Those were different years, different. It was a different time.
Right.
We were perfectly safe, and then we had a wonderful day at Grandma's. I don't want to eat anymore if I'm going to have to talk, Kamillia.
Okay.
But
How
don't eat
far
all of
away?
it.
So from Grandma's house to where you guys lived, I mean, was it a block? Was it a half a mile? Or how far away were you guys from
Maybe it
Grandma's?
was 2 blocks, maybe 2 blocks. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it was more than that.
Okay, so whatever.
A few blocks in any case. It wasn't,
Yes,
it's not like it was
a few
a,
blocks.
2 or 3 blocks.
it was a distance little children could walk by themselves.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And we went and we crossed over Monroe Creek on our way. The sidewalk went over the creek, and there was a not a fence but bars that we would lean over and look down at the creek, and as we went. And those days, well, Grandpa had such a wonderful green lawn.
Grandpa Chandler did.
Yes, he did. He took very good care of the yard, and he had those. He irrigated with those big round canvas hoses
Right.
that we used to
So-
walk on.
Marcielle, I know you don't want to see your picture, but I'd like to, I keep seeing just about the bridge of your nose and your eyes up is all I'm seeing.
Well, why do you need to see me though?
Well, you've got your kids and other of your posterity that sees this video would like to see you.
Oh, that's too bad. So is that me or is that Kamillia that you see now?
No, I see you.
Well, you don't have your glasses on, and that person has glasses on, so I guess it's me.
Yes, I'm looking right at you, Marcielle. I know it's you.
Well, okay. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, well,
No, but that sounds wonderful to walk to Grandma and Grandpa's after church with your cousins. That's something I never experienced, and it sounds lovely.
yeah, that's true that we had that part of life was wonderful. So special. And our uncles paid attention to us. I mean, we all sat out on the grass after we ate Grandma's wonderful roast. Always smelled so good and tasted so good. And our uncles would play with us, throw us in the air. Hi, what's that?
So Annette joined us. Hi, Annette.
Hi,
Hello.
Annette.
Hi, Annette.
Hi.
I'm so disappointed that you went east instead of west.
Well, you had Marcielle coming, and so let's see. I was going to turn my phone around there. We're here at Nathaniel's house. I did
Okay.
send a video. Lynn made these boxes today. I helped move
Oh.
the dirt.
How nice.
I drilled holes in here. This is his plants that he's going to be putting in.
Well, that's a lot of plants.
Or what community does he live in?
He lives in Arlington, up by Arlington Heights, and he has piles
Yeah.
of dirt like this all around his house. Trying to get stuff, his landscaping. He's had a water issue on the other side over there, around there. But anyway, it's very green. It's very pretty. There
Yeah.
was a bird just singing away. He stopped singing. We don't know. I can't tell what kind he is.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, there
Well-
he is. Listen.
It looks lovely. I know that Cheryl's family, my wife's family, lived not far from Arlington in McLean Falls Church area.
Right. Well, we were in Falls Church yesterday at by Falls Church at a nursery
Yeah,
over by Seven Corners, which
right.
you hear the bird.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're all the time at home. We don't hear birds except for early in the morning. There they go. But I
Well,
really
that's
miss bird
awesome.
singing.
But that's
So am
Well-
I
not-
the only one on other than Marcielle and Kamillia?
Yeah, nobody else got on. I wasn't sure who was gonna get on, and so far you're the only other one, so,
And
There's
Um,
my cat that now lives at Nathaniel's house.
oh,
Annette,
Yep.
let's not talk for a second. I want to hear that bird.
It's not gonna say anything now.
Okay. Anyway, okay.
well, let's let Marcielle continue with her storyline.
Oh,
She's hesitant to do so, so.
I'm a reluctant member of this family at this moment.
You don't really mean it that way.
She's
Reluctant to talk about herself. That's all.
and
It won't last long.
to overdo the Weiser story, because
I don't think it's overdoing it. You're mentioning some things that have hardly been touched on by the others, so I'm loving
probably
it.
so. Okay, well, so we love to be at Grandma and Grandpa Chandler's. That was the best place ever. And to be with our aunts and uncles and cousins. We spend our time with our cousins. My kids are have grown up. They're all done growing. And my grandkids, they're all going to school with their cousins and have done, but they're not great friends like we were.
Oh,
They-
really?
No, they're not, and I think that's really too bad, but they're okay. They're just so used to having their cousins and being with family that it doesn't mean a whole lot to them.
Right.
Like,
I wonder why it meant so much to us.
I don't know.
Anyway, but it did. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, so same time then, Dad was, he was assured that he wouldn't be drafted. So we moved to Butte, which must have been hard for Mother to leave her family, her surrounding. Oh, hi,
Who's that?
Annette.
Oh, hi.
I
Annette.
just,
That,
maybe
Okay,
my
then.
face instead of the neighbors.
that is so you. Of course it's you, but I mean the way you have your hand over your mouth like that, thinking, I guess. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, so we did go to Butte, and like I said, and that must have been hard for Mother to leave her sisters, her mother, and her familiar Weiser.
Mhm.
But
And she was
I
very
don't-
pregnant.
oh yeah, she was due with Afton, and had her soon after we got to Butte. And it was a beautiful home that we lived in Butte at first. But I don't know how long we lived there until we moved out on the flats, as it's called.
So Marcielle, you would have been about how old when you moved to Butte?
About
Six?
six,
Okay,
first grade. I don't remember the name of our school in Butte. But I remember names of schools, probably most of the rest of our many moves. So it had beautiful shiny hardwood floors. I
Hmm.
remember that. But anyway, we were there for most of you're staring at me, Kamillia.
Only because I'm just watching you.
Okay, I don't know how I'll ever get through this, but for the school year of my first grade, were you in the second grade? Do you remember that?
Well, if you were in the first, I was in second.
Okay, but what I remember is that it was cold. We had to wear boots and gloves and coats, but
Lucky you had them.
That's right, and they probably weren't very good, but our teachers had to help us get dressed to go home, and she was not happy. She was ornery.
Really?
That first grade teacher, she didn't want to put all our boots on and our gloves and things. That's how I felt anyway.
She should have moved to the south.
Yeah, she should have, or she should have taught a grade higher where they could take care of themselves. So anyway, and then at some point we moved to a little house that was not a nice house. It had really the roof was not very high up there, it seems like.
Mhm.
And it seems like Kamillia was sick all the time with earaches.
That's true.
And the doctor would come to the house.
Hmm.
So, and then dad got drafted, and so that trip back to Weiser was not fun.
Do you remember in Butte, though, in that little house, that someone had those ice skates that had two blades that
Well,
hooked onto our shoes?
I remember that in Toppenish.
Okay, but in Butte,
Probably.
and there was a little pond that froze over with lots of weeds sticking up,
Just across the street.
and that was really such a disappointment.
Why was it a disappointment?
Well, in the first place, two blades don't go very fast, and not that I wanted to, but I at least wanted to skate.
And there was probably only one pair, so we had to
That's
switch
probably-
off.
And you had to screw them on your feet, and but also the weeds that would stick up through the grass, or through the ice.
Trip you.
It was a lumpy little pond, basically.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so the car that Dad owned in those days was, you really couldn't brag about that at all.
Do you know what it was?
I don't know, it was probably a Ford, but there was no insulation in the floor. It was so cold. The
Mm.
floor, it was just ice cold. And Mother, we'd complain, and Mother would tell us to sit on our feet. And now, how many of us were there to sit on our feet in that back seat? Terry, Bruce, you and me. It's hard to fit all those. And Afton got to sit on Mother's lap in the front. But maybe Bruce got to sit in the front seat too. I don't know.
I don't either. But of course, we used to hang over the front seat. There were no seat belts.
Oh, of course.
So we used to hang over the seat to our parents and climb up in the back window. You remember the ledge in the back window?
Artie's
So-
getting bored.
No, I am not getting bored. I just remembered something though. When you said that, I want to interject. I'm going to time leap forward about 20 years or something. When I was a little kid, and I saw a Volkswagen van today.
Oh,
And help me remember, when I was a kid, me and Jamie were in the back of a VW van.
Dad had one
Marcielle's.
and the door would not latch.
Oh, is that okay? The door wouldn't
I
latch.
mean, Ken had one.
No, Dad,
Daddy.
when we moved to Silver Spring,
Oh, okay.
when John was born,
Mhm.
he and Jamie fell out the back. That door wouldn't latch.
So
Dad didn't have a Volkswagen van.
Yeah, he did for a time, apparently.
it was a
It's been a
Volkswagen
short
van.
time. I don't ever remember remember them falling out, but I don't remember us owning a Volkswagen van. I remember Terry's.
A
That's
bus.
a long time after. No, I don't remember the Volkswagen bus at my house. But I
So-
might be wrong.
Sorry, Annette, maybe you lived somewhere else for a little while. I don't know.
But
I
the
don't
question
know.
I have is, how old was I when that happened? Or do you remember how old Jamie was? Or how old were we?
Well, let me just think a second. Jamie, let's see, Becky,
Well, John was born.
and John.
So John's 3 years
John?
younger than me.
John,
I said, John is
did
3
you
years
say
younger
John
than me.
was?
John is 3
And what-
years younger than I am.
I got that.
Okay,
What year was he born?
okay, I can't hear you again. You must have covered a microphone again.
Is it over here?
Okay, now I can hear you.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, okay, well, John was born in 65.
Right?
So I don't know. Jamie probably was about 5, something like that.
Well, but he said John is 3 years younger than he is.
Well, John wasn't born yet when that
I thought
happened.
you said John was born back there.
He was,
Oh,
but
he
not
wasn't.
quite yet.
Okay,
John was about-
so if John wasn't quite born, then it was probably earlier, because John's birthday is October, right?
Uh-huh.
So it was earlier in 65. So I was 3. I was about 3 years old.
Okay,
And,
and what?
So that would have
how-
put Jamie at 4 or 5, depending on where the birthdays land.
That was my guess. He was a September birthday.
And did he get his arm ran over by a car? Do I remember that
No,
right?
but he broke his arm on that fall.
Okay,
And on our way, so we were on our way to church, and the rest of you went on to church, and somehow we took him to the hospital, but we didn't have a car. Well, we must have taken
Well-
everybody to church and then taken him to the hospital.
I do have a memory of being in a church and everybody looking at Jamie's arm. And a
Well-
big bruise on his arm. And I remember, I just had it in my head all these years that Jamie's arm was ran over by a car. But that's, you're correcting my memory then, that actually he just broke it with the fall.
That's what I remember.
Okay, I
Okay,
don't know.
well, so we got it cast on him, and I don't recall any more detail of that day at all,
okay,
period.
all right.
But you're in
Anyway.
Butte now.
Yeah, but we're supposed to be in Butte, so how do we
Okay,
get
go back
there?
to Butte. I thought of that and I thought, I want to know how old I was and where we were, and you filled in some of the blanks for me, so thank you.
Oh, okay. Were you gonna write those down now or what?
No, we got it on video.
Oh. Okay, well, back to Butte, on our way back to Weiser when Dad got his draft notice, and the terrible trip that was. The memory is freezing cold.
And something broke down in the car. We
And
ran out of gas.
We
Something.
ran out of gas, and Dad left his coat with a gas station guy for a tank of gas somewhere along the way. And anyway, we did get back to Weiser. Finally, stayed at Grandma Compton's house while he was gone. And I have the memory of men hanging around the windows because the women were home alone, because the men were all gone to the war. So we would find cigarette butts outside of our windows. And Jack Adams, who was Barbara's late,
Brother-in-law.
he nailed the back door shut at one point.
Why
to
didn't the
keep-
creepy men go off to war?
I wonder, they were probably older.
They were-
Well, Dad,
Actually, they were creepy.
yeah, I really don't know the answer to that, but I just
Okay,
remember that through town, women were having problems with those men hanging around because so many women were home alone, I guess. So anyway, Lanny lived with us a part of the time, if not all the time, while we lived there at Grandma's house. And we did get into some mischief, like smoking on top of the house.
Did you do that too?
I was there too.
Oh, really?
And well, I think I was. And so we did smoke some cigarettes. I don't know where he got them.
It's too bad they'd already been baptized. No, actually, no, we were baptized after that.
Well, yeah, we were.
Oh, good.
I guess.
Some of those
I
things
was
got wiped.
baptized in Anaconda though, so
Well, we hadn't gone there yet.
are you sure?
I'm sure we were in Butte.
Oh, that's right. Okay, so
what a relief. Okay.
Yeah, what a relief.
and the coal shed caught on fire while we lived there, and Lanny did that.
Lanny and I.
You and Lanny, yeah.
Lanny and I caught the show.
How did you do that?
We took matches out to get coal.
It does take matches to get coal,
Well,
so you
I
can
don't know
see
why.
or what?
I think that was the point.
Dear me. So Jack Adams showed up again to save us.
Did he?
Yeah, to help Mother with the
Hmm.
fire and everything. Oh, I hate doing this, Artie.
You're doing
So
a
now
great
what-
job, Marcielle. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
So what's next now? Finally, well, the letters that I have read, that Mother wrote to Dad
And I only have one letter. and
during
it's
that
Daddy's
time
with his
was,
mother.
she told him how much money she saved by buying a large a box of laundry soap and splitting it with Louise or somebody, you know, and that she helped pay for that. Because mother was really short of money. The sugar wasn't available. Lots of things.
There was rationing at that time.
Yes,
We had little stamps to buy. I don't know if they were little.
kind of like the green stamps that we used to
Well,
paste in the books. But Artie, do you remember green stamps?
Vaguely, really vague. It's not quite, but it seems like I should know, or I have a vague memory.
S&H green stamps.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
right, S&H.
That's
What
absolutely.
did that stand
And we'd
for?
have little books to paste those stamps into and then turn them in for
Dishes.
something. Dishes?
Well, I don't know. What, Annette, did you use yours for something?
Oh, no, I didn't have them. Mom had them, but she could go get, you know, I think cookware, dishes, and toaster or something. I remember waiting in some line somewhere while she had her books of stamps and
Yeah.
turn them in for something. That was probably in Greensboro.
Okay, that was
You
North
know what-
Carolina.
You know what your bird is? It's a mockingbird.
You think so? I don't
hear it
know. I
saying-
heard a thing on mockingbirds the other day, which is completely off the Weiser topic, but they can imitate
That's okay.
frogs. They imitate frogs and other animals, but
And
only
that I did-
animals that have similar tone and similar octaves that they do, which happens to be frogs.
Frogs.
Could
truly.
be like motorcycles or cars or, you know, anything they can. So they don't just mock other birds. They're really into mocking.
No, I saw a little documentary. There was some parrots somewhere in the Amazon where there was a lot of lumber, a lot of, you know, deforestation going on, and some of the parrots were mimicking the sounds of chainsaws. And
How
they really
funny, so
were.
funny. Huh? Well,
That's-
whoopsie. Where'd you go, Artie?
I'm here. You somehow turned off your camera. Okay, there, you're back now.
You know, I don't have a whole lot of. We'll have to go somewhere where I can plug it in soon.
It's
But
all
go
right.
ahead.
I don't want this to last a long time. We can finish it at some later point. Okay, so where are we?
You're in. You're.
Mom
in-
bought a bunch of soap for cheap.
Okay, so we lived in Grandma Compton's house while he was gone. And Kamillia and I have been back there and we've driven up the alley, remember?
Mhm,
We went around the back of the house
mhm.
and
And the coal shed was gone.
yeah, there was no coal shed anymore. But we love alleys and you can't find alleys hardly. Maybe you can in Brigham City because it's a small older town. In the older parts of Brigham City, I don't know.
There's not much. There are a couple alleys, but there really aren't very many.
Mhm.
There was an alley behind Grandma Chandler's house, which we spent a lot of time in because we used to go up the alley to the Daniels house, a few houses away. We went back and forth. The Daniels had an outhouse, but Grandma had, Nita bought Grandma a bathroom. She had that bathroom, had it added on, and it had a box above the toilet with the chain. And you'd pull that chain and let the water come down the pipe and flush the toilet.
Right.
So Grandma had an indoor toilet and a tub, but Grandpa's room had a door right there. He would have to open the door and step through the toilet
So
to
the
get,
tub,
the tub to get to the toilet.
but more than likely, you just open another door and walk through the hallway.
I don't know what he did, but his bedroom was right there. They didn't share bedrooms anymore since I think quite a few years prior. But his bedroom was there. The tub was right in front of the door. That's really funny, isn't it?
Well, it was an add-on.
Strange. Not added on, a very nothing like they would do nowadays. They wouldn't make that kind of a add-on. So anyway, finally, I remember the night that Dad came home, and he would have walked from the train.
You would have,
Yes, he would have,
I guess.
because we walked everywhere.
True.
We walked everywhere when we went from one grandma's house to the other, which was pretty much where we would have gone. Yeah, we just walked.
You
through.
guys didn't meet him at the train?
No, we didn't.
It was nighttime. And also Mother had 5 children, and Afton was a baby at that time. So, and it was after dark. I don't know what time.
I don't either. It was
Okay.
after dark.
All right.
Okay, and well, imagine what it was like for when Dad walked through the door and Mother ran into his arms. Oh, what a relief. It's finally over. That's year-long separation. So I'm glad for him today that they had that meeting. So before too long, though, we packed up again and went back to and lived in Anaconda. And we did some funny things in Anaconda. Like you've already heard, we climbed down a manhole and followed that to the creek that was maybe a mile away across the prairie.
I don't know where she came up with a creek, because we didn't go to a creek.
A little
We
little
went to a
river.
creek.
Old creek. Well, whatever. You can call it what you want, Artie. I call it creek.
So Dad was working with the scouts at this point, right?
And
Yeah.
never home. And Mother worried constantly about Dad getting home safe, driving a busload of scouts to
Into the mountains.
Yeah. And we went to scout camp, and that's a good memory, spending some time in the summers at scout camp. Yeah, dashing down the dirt roads with a stick, a branch. That was our horse, my horse anyway, trying to make all the dust I could and stop short and scoot and throw up the dust.
Yes, well, we galloped down that road quite a bit. That was next to the river. And I was very good at neighing.
Give us a name, Kamillia.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't do it. That was so poor, but I'm not. I'll have to practice.
But that was me, not you. So scout camp was a fun time. I don't know that it was so fun for Mother. I think it was a chore for her. She didn't have the freedom to run around and play like we did.
No, was that the scout camp where we had a house tent?
Yes.
Okay. So of course, Daddy, being the inventive man that he was, it seems to me that he created a stove for her outside or something. Maybe that was a shower or something. Anyway, we slept in bunk beds with our noses up against the tent, and Mother had a beautiful jacket, a leather jacket.
She did?
Yeah, well, I didn't. This is all I remember. And she couldn't find it anywhere. And when we left and they pulled up the floor, it was a wooden floor, a pack rat had taken it, and it was underneath the tent and underneath the floor and kind of chewed up.
Oh.
So now we can feel bad for Mother.
Okay.
But I don't remember that. But there was a lake nearby, and we used to catch frogs. Toads, whatever, they're the same.
Mother wanted frog legs, but we didn't know the difference. So we took home a picture of toads.
Yes, but did we ever kill those and cook frog legs?
I don't know. Mother was really disappointed in all the toads. I don't know what the difference is, though.
I don't either. Anyway, we went to the Bryant School in Anaconda. And if she has said we lived right at the foot of the smelter. What they smelt.
Copper, anaconda copper.
Okay. Are you sure you want me to do this?
Yes, this is great, for sure.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, well, it was a great time. Anaconda was, but that was only about 2 years, from second to fourth grade for me. And Elder Cummings was there, and I loved him. I wanted to marry him someday. But I didn't get to do that, actually. We then in time, our time there was over, and we moved to Toppenish. Except on the way to Toppenish, we stopped in Butte, and I lived in one or two little cabins.
So where's
And
Buena? Is that
Butte was just short of Toppenish,
oh,
just
okay?
outside of Toppenish.
Okay.
And
It's just off the highway.
yeah,
It's like,
it was a little cabins and a gas station.
mhm.
Mother wasn't well. I remember her being in bed there.
Me too.
She was pregnant with Nancy. But we had to go to school from there, and we had to catch the school bus. We had never ridden a school bus, and I was sure that we had to have a dime or something to pay the driver. I was so worried about getting on that school bus. Were you?
No,
How come only me?
I don't know.
And Dad assured me that it didn't cost money to ride the school bus. And I found out it didn't. But I remember, and we went to the Lincoln School in Toppenish. The bus took us to Toppenish, and that school was the Lincoln School. And I was in the fourth grade, and I met, where'd you go? Where'd you go?
I'm here.
No, you're not.
The Zoom call with Marcielle and Kamillia telling stories about when they were kids.
Okay, there you go.
I met Jerry Holman. I don't know who that's Annette, maybe. Hi, Annette, again, or whoever you are.
Yeah, it's
Well,
Annette.
It's
I'm
shadowy.
usually me.
Well,
gonna
it was
show you.
kind of shadowy.
Couldn't
It's
really see.
getting dark outside, and I've been outside. That's Henry, who's chasing the cat.
Okay.
Well, it's quite dark. At least I
Yeah.
can't see it.
It's real. Oh, now you're lit up. Sort of.
I'm under the porch.
Your
light.
background is light, but you're not.
You have
Well,
backlighting.
I'm supposed to
Annette.
just be having it point up and just listening. So enjoy the light of the ceiling.
Well, okay. At the Lincoln School, I met Jerry Holman. You might say my lifelong love, because I've never forgotten him, and I've always wanted to find him again.
Artie, I can't see you at all.
Yeah, where'd you go, Artie?
I didn't
There
move.
you are.
There you
Okay.
are.
Now you came back again.
Okay.
Okay, so Jerry Holman thought my writing was just, as a fourth grader, was so beautiful. I remember him saying that, and
So is he the same grade as you?
yes, he was.
Okay. All right.
And they were members of the ward branch at the time.
Mhm.
And we stayed together. He got rheumatic fever though, sometime during our seventh grade, or seventh, I think, in junior high school. But we went to the high school for the seventh grade in Toppenish. So he couldn't come to school for quite a while, and so I used to go over to their house. All of this is walking. We did walk most places in Toppenish too.
Mhm.
I'd go over and sit with him and hold his hand, and oh gosh. So
Was he related to the Sainsbury's? Wasn't
oh
his-
yes, his mother was.
Okay.
His mother was a Sainsbury. That's right. Ben Sainsbury.
Mhm.
Grandma didn't like Ben Sainsbury. Why didn't she?
She
Well,
didn't-
she didn't like men.
no, she didn't like me.
And so,
Anyway, he was a flirt and he shouldn't have been.
so any house. Gosh, Artie, maybe we should just call it good for this. We lived at 602 South Beach Street in Toppenish. Jerry Holman lived across town, across the tracks in the well, actually, there was a better part of town in the end than where we lived.
Well, we were on the wrong side.
Yeah, I think we were on the wrong side. But when we moved out of the Victory Homes or whatever they were on that side of town,
Veterans housing. Unit.
we moved to 602 South Beach Street. And then our grade school was the Garfield School. And my 5th grade teacher was Mrs. Goheen. And she had a daughter in our class who she favored. Imagine that. Helen Goheen, I think.
That's amazing.
Uh,
I'll just remember all the fun things you did in Toppenish. Marcielle was an athlete. You were
I could play marbles better than anybody. Now, what kind of an athlete is that?
you did.
I've heard.
You were
I was.
I've
the
heard you were good
champion.
with. I've heard you were good with tying knots and stuff, and could beat the Boy Scouts.
I did, but that's back in Butte
Oh, okay.
or Anaconda, whichever. Yes, Dad taught me. That was Toppenish. He taught me to tie those knots, and we made tied knots and glued them to a board, and it was a show and tell type of thing, I think, for school. But then when we went to scout camp, what did they call those gatherings at night for the scouts?
firesides? No, campfires.
Campfires, that's what it was. And I competed with all of the scouts, and I tied all of the knots faster than they did.
And how old were you?
Well, how old would I have been?
11.
10 or what?
I thought
10
I
or
heard you-
12?
I've heard you say 11 in the past, I believe.
Okay, that'll do. That'll do just fine.
Between 10 and 12.
That's right. So I won a whole lot of candy bars. Yep. I can't remember how to tie all those knots anymore. I wish I still had that board. Wouldn't that be fun? Well, it would be fun for me anyhow. I don't know about the rest of you. Let's see. We had a lot of fun at the Merrick's house over the back fence. They always flooded their backyard and made a skating rink. So, and they had a lot of skates for us to choose from.
A pile of skates in what would have been their dining room if they had one.
And none of them fit, but we wore their skates. And I remember when I babysat, their only child was named Susan. Afton was Susan's age. Susan.
I never heard her called Susan, but it doesn't matter.
Okay. Anyway, there was a pack of cigarettes on the table when I was babysitting, and I was tempted. I kept looking at that pack of cigarettes,
But she'd already been baptized.
thinking, I really wanted to try one of those, but I didn't. I didn't
good.
touch it. I did not touch it.
Were you holding your breath already?
Yes, I was ready to call your bishop.
Oh gosh. Well, so there was a gravel road that went to the back, past the Merricks and down the road to the canal. And we used to swim in the canal, and we were even swimming in the canal below a slaughterhouse.
Were we?
Oh yeah, we were.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So, and I had a boyfriend in Anaconda named Leonard Arquette.
Was he your boyfriend?
He was my
Are
boyfriend,
you sure?
and he had 2 horses he used to bring. I don't know how he found us, why he used to come to our house.
He was in my grade of school.
Okay, but
I don't know how he did.
you rode on Chief. You took off on that great big horse, and he didn't he throw you over the canal or something?
He threw me just before the canal. He stopped short.
Stopped short.
And
He
I-
was a big black horse named Chief. But then Leonard also, he was an Indian. He also had a quarter horse. It was a big horse. I rode on the back of him, well, the back of the horse all summer, one summer. He'd gallop and I'd almost fall off and tell him I couldn't hang on any longer. Had a great time on that horse's back behind him all that summer. And then I don't know, I guess he disappeared. I don't know where or why he stopped coming,
Well,
but
we moved for one thing.
maybe we moved. That's probably what happened. Yes, but I had another boyfriend named Freddie, but I don't know what his last name was, but we'd hang out under the grapevines.
Truly?
Yes, and eat grapes and he'd kiss me.
That sounds so romantic. Put a grape in your mouth and kiss you. You put a grape in his mouth and kiss him.
I don't know.
So
where
it
he
wasn't
came
under
from.
the cherry tree, it was under the grapevine. Okay.
It wasn't under the
and,
apple
and
tree.
I don't know where he came from, but then there was the bakers across the street, and you've heard about them, and the vacant lot is still there. Nobody has ever built a house or done anything there. We played baseball and marbles and kick the can and
In
whatever.
the winter, fox and geese.
Yeah, yeah. But and we hung around over at the bakers. They just had 4 boys.
It must not have been prime property, that vacant lot.
Must not. But the last time I was in Toppenish, the mailbox still says Baker on it. So I wonder,
Must still be
I
there.
do wonder the house is still there. And so is the house we owned. But Kamillia already told you that, or somebody, Afton did, that Leslie Baker, he was kind of my boyfriend too. We hung around together at least,
They were,
but he is quite a bit older, 4 years. I was 12 and he was 16, I think.
Huh.
The oldest of the Baker boys. And he went swimming with some friends one day to a gravel pit. That's what they called those places where water gathered. It was called a gravel pit.
so no doubt that like this one over here that is now our reservoir, that was a gravel pit.
Was it?
And where, they scooped out all this gravel.
Will
for-
Yeah.
the man pick those up?
What?
for probably cement or something. So it was full of water and the sides are extremely steep.
They're
Oh.
dangerous. What, you went away, Artie? I don't know where you went, but
I'm here.
oh. Yeah, so they were dangerous, and Leslie drowned, and his mother went crazy.
So this time.
She came running, whoever came and told them, she came running out the front door, screaming and crying, and ran down the street. But I don't remember what his dad did. His dad was an ornery guy.
I know, but he cried and was so sorry.
Okay, well, see, I didn't remember what he did, but she ran down to the McCracken's, and I don't know what happened down there, but it was a sad time. And you remember the berry bush on their fence over there? It was gooseberries or something.
I don't
They
remember.
were sour, but they were good.
Mm.
So we used to eat those. I did anyway. Anyhow,
So how did you feel, Marcielle, when this friend of yours drowned?
well, I felt sorry, sad. He was gone. Let's see, they had a son named Laverne, Leslie and Laverne and Lyle.
I think you're right.
That's only 3 though. Maybe they only had 3 boys. I'm not
I
sure.
think it was just 3.
Anyhow, I wonder if there's still a baker living in that house and I was tempted to go knock on the door, but not brave enough to do it, to ask, who are you? Are you the son of?
Mhm.
But I don't remember there. Oh, I also remember when Nancy got somebody gave her some candy. She was a baby, probably 6 months maybe. And somebody gave her some candy. It got stuck in her throat and she was choking. I was outside on the one side of the house with Mother, and she was holding Nancy, and Nancy was going blue. Somebody ran over and got Mrs. Baker, and she came running. And somehow we got that candy dislodged because we still have Nancy, which is probably a good thing. She's done a lot of good things since that day.
So I have another memory I need clarification on. It just came to mind. So when we lived, I don't know where we lived. I think, well, my memory is we lived in Silver Spring, but I was just a really little kid, and I fell. There was,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
there was houses being built, and I think I fell down a basement stairway.
You did.
And my memory is that you're the one that came, or what happened there?
I did come. Well, and I was very pregnant with John. I was so, and my legs would hardly move, but I went out to call you for dinner. And then I saw you disappear.
Oh,
You did not fall on the stairs. You fell off the edge.
right.
Yes, and that
So
was
I missed
pretty
the stairs and just went straight to the bottom.
straight to the bottom. So I ran the best that I could, and it hurt so bad to get you, and ran down the stairs, picked you up, and carried you as fast as I could to the house.
Was I conscious?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I don't remember you crying, and you would
I have a very vague memory of it. I remember running, I remember falling, and I actually have an image in my mind of you running, but I would have been at the bottom of the stairs. So I don't know how I have an image in my mind of you running towards the stairs, but I do.
I'm not quite sure how you would have that either, but I did run, and I couldn't run very well. It's funny how your legs get tangled up with your pregnancy, the pressure on the top of your legs, at least mine, my legs would hardly move. So I don't know that I saved your life, but I picked you up and ran with you because I was really frightened about how badly you might be hurt.
So was there a hospital visit or a doctor visit, or do you remember?
I can't remember for sure.
I don't remember. It just seems like I hit my head really hard. That's my memory, is that I hit my head hard when I fell.
You probably did.
I don't know. Anyway, that just came to mind. I thought I'd get your clarification. So if you were really pregnant with John,
I was in on the deal. I did see you fall. I did go out to call you to dinner. So I'm not sure that I saved your life, but I got you to the house.
well, thank you.
I might have just been holding on to you by one leg and one arm. I don't know. I do not know.
After all this time, it's about time I say thank you.
There's another person we're glad lived through it.
Whoopsie, you keep disappearing, Artie. Where'd you go?
I'm here. I don't know what button you're pushing, but it's there you go. Now you're back.
Okay, well, it's probably about time we moved to Yakima. I don't know. I was about 12 when we moved to Yakima. And when I was 14, well, I met Ken when I was almost 15. But in between that, I had quite a few boyfriends.
Did you?
I did. Can't remember all their names. But those were our days when we didn't really have such strict rules and regulations about being 16 instead of 12. But I still was in love with Jerry Holman. And there was a dance.
Was he still around the area where you would see him?
No, I never. He lived in Toppenish.
Oh,
so I really didn't see him except one time after we moved. His mother wanted us to stay together, and get married someday. Probably because she thought so much of mom and dad. But he asked me, or the plan was that we would go to this church dance together, and mother had a formal made for me.
Wow.
It was red.
Hmm.
I wish I still had it. It was red, and it opened down the front to white lacy layers of lace. It didn't have a top. It was strapless.
Wow.
Oh.
But then we bought red net, which was attached to it, which was over my shoulders
Oh.
and across my back. So it made it.
So did we live in Yakima then?
Mhm.
And you went back to talk?
No, his mother brought him to Yakima
Oh, okay.
for us to go to that dance. I can't believe that. I think that, so I probably didn't even know how to dance. Probably he didn't either. But as long as I was in love with him, and with him, he never did kiss me, but these other guys did. I let him, I guess.
Those were really fun times, though. MIA, which is what we called it in those days, there were wonderful dances, dance lessons. When we were ready for a golden green ball or something, they teach us all these different steps. Lots of firesides. You and I have talked about that, Artie.
Yeah.
And
Firesides every Sunday night
they were just
at somebody's house.
wonderful. And so it was really, I think that's one of my most favorite times as a girl, as a teenager, was
Right.
the MIA years.
And that's how I got together with Ken, because I was not allowed to date him. Obviously, he was older. He'd been in the service. He'd been around. He was a man, and
Oh.
I was.
How much older than what's the age difference?
It's 7.5 years.
Oh, okay.
That's not terrible, but it probably depends on how old each of you are. And I actually was 14, turning 15 when I met him, and I was still getting recovered from my appendicitis operation, which back then, well, my appendix had burst, so did yours, right?
Yeah. I stayed at your house after I had my appendix out.
You did?
Yeah, I came in. I was in the hospital, and then you came and got me from the hospital down there in Provo and took me up to your house for a week or two.
Well, aren't I a wonderful sister?
Yeah, you saved me again.
But I can't remember it. That makes me feel bad.
That's okay.
Okay.
I feel
Well,
bad because you were in the back of our van bouncing around in pain. I think we're the ones who took you to the hospital, or maybe not. Maybe it was after Robert's baby blessing or something that somebody took you to the hospital. I don't remember.
It was Joseph, Alden, and Kathleen that took me to the hospital.
Oh,
We were on our way to somebody's baby blessing or something, and we didn't make it because I ended up going to the hospital.
oh
I
dear.
I don't
remember you
remember.
being in the back of our van, bouncing and moaning and groaning with every bump we took.
Oh gosh.
Hmm.
Oh, that
Well,
must
that's
have
what
been-
was happening when I was with Joseph and Kathleen in the back of their van, moaning and groaning.
I think they just traded you around, Artie.
Well, so our memories get all tangled up, don't they? And who knows which is what. Well, my appendicitis, I guess we'll go through that. I was 14 in high school,
We were walking home from school.
and we had 3 miles each way to walk. But were you walking with me? Well, and my appendix were hurting all day, but I didn't know what that was.
Right.
And we had an assembly at the end of school and everything. And then walking home was painful and difficult. And you're gone again, but I guess it doesn't matter, Artie.
I'm here.
And so when we got home, mother, one of the very few, if not only times when she worked when we were kids, she was working in a cannery or something.
Yes.
So she wasn't home, but dad was. And I laid down on the couch and I probably was groaning. And a miracle of miracles, he took me down the street to Dr. Corcoran's, who had his office in their home. They had a nice home. He took me down there late in the evening. And when I got out of the car, I threw up on his lawn.
Wow.
The fact was that then my appendix were not hurting. They had burst then, I'm quite sure. And it didn't hurt anymore, but he examined me a little bit and said, get her to the hospital. And so my surgery was in the middle of the night sometime. And mother always said that he spring, and I have a large incision, do you?
Yeah. Well, I don't know how my incision compares to yours, but it's you know, a few inches across, about 3 inches, I'd say.
Mine goes up and down. Of course, mine has been stretched with pregnancies.
Right, right.
That's not really fair, is
So
it?
it's actually from her knees to her belly button.
It's about 7 inches long. And it was left open, about an inch of it, because I had a tube draining I was in the hospital about a week getting
Right.
penicillin shots. And that penicillin hadn't been around very long, I don't think, and maybe I'm really lucky that it was.
Yes, in fact.
And because and those are, penicillin is thick. It hurts. But anyway, my life was saved, as was yours. And
Yeah.
about half of us, if not all of us, Kamillia's situation was very serious
Well, just
with
like
her
yours.
appendix.
Yeah.
She fell down the stairs. She couldn't get Carmen's attention.
No, I didn't fall down the stairs myself.
You tripped.
No,
You tried to come down. All right, whatever.
I was in terrible pain and I was on the bottom stairs thinking I would go upstairs and I couldn't make
Oh.
it. And I was calling Carmen and he was laying on his good ear. So that didn't help. So Robin was living with us. And so she came down and they called the paramedics. And they were ready to throw Carmen in jail because I had bruises all over my arm.
Wow.
I had been pulling that, you know, the kind of sticky stuff that you put on shelves to cover them up.
Right.
And we were redoing the kitchen and I was pulling that off, but I was putting pressure on the cupboard so I could get leverage. Anyway, so I had to really tell those guys, he hasn't hurt me. He has not beat me. Anyway,
Wow.
that's my story. Sorry.
Okay.
So when I met Ken, after I'd had 2 or 3 boyfriends, and I don't know their names. Oh, there was Connie. Do you remember Connie?
A man,
He was a man and he had a car.
and he had a fur coat and a feather hat, right?
I don't know, but he used to let me drive his car. So I was still favoring my side when I met Ken.
I want
Okay.
to interject something here. Marcielle, we used to ride from Toppenish to Weiser to visit our grandparents.
On the Patterson
That-
Ferry.
That was a long drive. Marcielle knew the names of all the trucks, and
Oh,
all the cars, and she's all until the most recent. I don't know how well you're keeping up on the Europeans,
well,
but she always knew, and it was always an interest to her. I think that's fascinating. Anyway,
well, see, I like to watch on YouTube train rides. I ride on the trains in all the countries, you know, Switzerland, wherever, and cruise ships
and ice trucks.
and big trucks. Yeah,
Cool.
I'm different. I'm weird.
No, that's awesome.
I'm weird, and I love to watch the zoos, and that's in there. And it's so interesting. I'm getting way off track. The zoos and how they train those animals, all of them, to know their
Huh.
name and to come and put their foot up so they can have a shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's very interesting.
Huh.
But back to
Ken.
Ken. Well, what happened there was that Ken hadn't been out of the service very long. He was living with his parents in Yakima, and he was just getting back to church. Well, just getting to church because he was not raised in the church.
Okay.
His parents were members. His dad was the son of David Barney, who was a son of Lewis, who was a pioneer with Brigham Young.
Okay.
So he had the background, but
Right.
they had strayed away, and he hadn't been in church at all. So he my dad, your dad, our dad, he he was the scoutmaster, and he had Ken be his assistant, which brought Ken into the house.
Oh, okay.
And that's where it all got started. And so I knew him. I was attracted to him. He had a car.
Wow.
And so after church for fireside, everybody'd run to get in his car, but guess who ran the fastest?
You were the athlete, huh?
He wasn't just a marble champion.
And then it was bench seats, so you know you could sit close. And I'd always get in that front seat up next to him. There were several of the girls, Ann Johnson, Fan. She wanted him.
She did?
And she was older than me, and you know, it looked like a better fit, I suppose. But I seem to have gotten him anyhow.
Yeah, it
And
seems
so
to be the
that was-
case.
Yeah, that was the only times that we were together. He would take me home last, and we'd sit in the car for a while and visit. It was some months until he kissed me.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oops. And then so we never did really leave the house on a date until oops. Oh, I'm getting tired, Artie.
You're off.
Okay.
Well, you're leaving us really in suspense.
Well,
This is courtship.
so the courtship didn't actually take off in Yakima, but we certainly were good friends, and Dad asked him to drive a trailer to Spokane with stuff in it, our stuff. So that was great because I got to ride with him all the way to Spokane. So we moved to Spokane. Oh my goodness, we're already in Spokane.
Here.
Well, and he was at BYU by this time. So we rode every single day, both of us, for 2 years, pretty nearly. And he was at BYU, and he had changed his life dramatically. He was the only person in his family, any of them, that went to college at that time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or even graduated from high school. So
And he majored in electronic engineering.
chemical
Oh,
engineering.
chemical, sorry.
Yeah, well, engineering anyhow.
Well, I think chemical would even be more astonishing. But go ahead.
Okay, well, so when the family, he'd hitchhike in those days to come and see me at Christmas time, summers. It's been summers in Spokane, and then go back to BYU. It was hard. Those were really, really hard times. And then when Dad got a job in South Carolina, there was no way I was going to go. And so we got married just about the time just before the move.
And
to
you were
South-
how old at that point then?
how 17, I think.
Okay.
17. Yeah. So then actually he borrowed a clunky old car that was probably from the times of the early times of mom and dad's cars. He borrowed from somebody and to come and get me. And that was an interesting, difficult. It didn't have a heater. It was another really cold ride.
Okay.
And so I ended up with him at BYU. We were married in the church in Spokane and started our journey together in Provo. And he would, in those days, school was practically shut down summers because everybody went to find a good job to pay their tuition for the next year.
Right.
That's what he did. And so
So you were married in what year then?
55.
Oh, okay.
55, yeah.
And Kamillia, you were married in what year?
54.
Okay, so you guys just got married a year apart.
But Kamillia ran off and got married. Oh, she ran off and left me.
Oh, this is a sore spot, but anyway. Yes, I eloped and gave Marcielle the news to take home to mother and daddy.
They had given us permission when we had moved to Spokane to go back on the bus to Yakima to visit Carmen and Ken. And then I went back and she didn't. So
Yeah.
that was kind of a tough time for me.
Well, I never really got over hurting mother and daddy. But anyway, that's another story.
Yeah, well, it's part of the story.
Yes. Anyway,
So 17, you're moving down to Provo. You married Ken and you're down in Provo and he's a chemical engineering student.
Right. Yes. And so we went to Castro Valley, California, 9212 David Street. Why do you keep going away? And lived with Beverly and Bill, Ken's sister, and Denny and Barry were kids there then. Lived with them that summer, and he worked for Hunt's Foods.
Oh,
A good job, making as much money as he could to go back and pay his tuition.
right.
wasn't Becky born there? Was
And
she born?
Becky was born in Castro Valley at the
Okay.
Eden Hospital. And then I took a job when she was, and Beverly tended her. I took a job in Oakland at Sears.
Oh,
And so I was driving on those freeways then, which are nothing like what they are now.
right.
But
right.
one time on my way home, a guy kept, every time that it was bumper to bumper, because it was rush hour, and every time traffic slowed and came to a stop, this guy behind me would bump into me. And
Really?
that happened over and over and over. I was scared to death. And finally came to my exit and got away from him.
Wow.
So we spent this summer there in Castro Valley, 9212 David Street. I wonder if Denny remembers that address.
Mhm.
Denny and Barry were just little boys, probably 10 and 12 or something. Then we
Huh.
went back to BYU. And then we went to Pullman, Washington, because Kamillia and Carmen were there, and we've always kind of hung together. through the
Right.
years. And so we went up to Pullman to WSC. It's now WSU. And they lived on Kamillia Street,
1205 North Kamillia.
1205 North Kamillia. And we lived, we lived out by the cemetery in the beginning. And then we moved on to Grand Street. And our landlord was named Pickett, Mr. Pickett. We lived at the top of an old Victorian style house, way, so many stairs, way up there. And so our apartment was in the alcoves. So we had an alcove for the kitchen, an alcove for the bed, which shoved in underneath it. And I'm sure there were spiders and bugs and everything in there. It was dark.
Sure.
It wasn't a place you could go into, but you could shove the bed in there and shut the door. Another alcove for our little living room and another one for the bathroom. So it was a funny place.
And we really had a good time in Pullman. Marcielle finished high school and graduated in Pullman. And Ken and Carmen were pals. You know, they both did janitorial work. Did Ken do it too?
Yeah.
Okay. And we were both starving. All of us were starving. So when it came payday, we'd get together and have a feast. And the feast was
a baked potato.
and that's either boiled potato or baked potato. It wasn't much of a feast, but and we get together and play cards, which was really authors.
Authors or we didn't play pit in those days, I don't think.
No, I think Pitt was in Toppenish. Yeah. In any case, Marcielle cheated all the time.
I won a lot, so she thinks I was cheating,
Oh, well.
but I was winning.
Anyway, we had a good time, starving or not. Becky's cheeks got frozen there. She had
Our car wouldn't start all winter, and Pullman is very far north. And it was cold, and we had to walk everywhere, carrying our babies. And yes, Becky's cheeks got frostbitten.
Wow.
As a baby, as a 6-month-old. And
Wow.
that's where my my times of having miscarriages began. I had a miscarriage when Becky was about 6 months old, and they never stopped. I just kept on having them for 8 years.
Right.
Except I had Patrick, and that's another story. In 1958, Becky was 2, and we had gone up to Othello, the Moses Lake, Othello, Royal Slope area, the area that was opened up when the Grand Coulee Dam was finished. And now there was irrigation water for all of that area. And a lot of Mormons went up there, and they were farming huge acreage of soybeans and other things. So Beverly, being strange woman she was, she went up there to farm with Uncle Roy, who was Ken's uncle. Uncle Roy, a strange man, different, but nice. And she asked Ken to come up and help. And I was pregnant with Patrick. So I never should have traveled, but I had a bed in the back of our station wagon. And I don't know who packed us because I couldn't. But so we went on up there, and I immediately went to town, which was Othello, about 25 miles away, the largest little town nearby, and found me a doctor because I was very much afraid that I was going to need a doctor. And so we were only there about a week. And so I went into labor, and we went into town in the middle of the night, and she gave me a shot. It was a female, Dr. Patterson. She gave me some kind of a shot that she said would stop my labor. And then they put me to bed, and then Ken and Beverly left and went back home. And labor did not stop. And I did have him nobody would answer my light. I was a 19-year-old girl, and nobody would come till I
Oh.
finally started to yelling. And then they came and they said, "Be quiet. The man across the hall just had surgery today." And I'm having this very premature baby. So the baby, he was born soon thereafter, just in the bed there.
How
And
premature was he?
he was 6.5 months, about the same as Nancy and Denny's Michael.
Oh, okay.
And they gasped when he was born. They said, "Oh, he's alive, run and get a blanket." So the nurse
Wow.
went to get a blanket. I so regret that I did not stand up for myself, but I was so young and I never held him. I actually never saw him.
Oh,
except
really?
that they carried him out in that blanket, and they didn't do anything for him. They didn't have anything to do for him, and probably he wouldn't have survived, but they just wrapped him and put him in a crib in a corner somewhere and left him. I'm so sure of that. And I should have held him.
Yeah.
He lived about 2 hours. I should have held him while he was alive. I should have been his mother for 2
Right.
hours. So
Yeah.
I've cried over that more recently than I did then. Nancy and I went together about before Ken died. So it's 25 years ago. Oh my gosh, is it that long ago? I decided to find his grave because we had a little graveside service, and the Relief Society dressed him, or provided, the church provided a plot and the whatever the price was. And so there were relatives, Ken's relatives up there, and we did have a service. And I have wanted over the years to find his grave. So
Right.
when I was with Nancy in Pendleton, Ken had gone on a Boy Scout rafting river trip. So Nancy and I drove over there from Pendleton, across the river, and over to Othello, and started going to offices and places to ask questions about where this. I didn't know the name of the cemetery. I don't know the questions we were asking, but we finally went to a mortuary, and this is a miracle. We ended up at this mortuary, and I told the lady, she was young, what I was looking for. This grave of a Patrick Barney, and she said, "Well, I wouldn't know anything about that." And then she disappeared and went to somewhere else in the building. And I looked over at a counter and walked over to that counter, and a book was open to his name and ours.
Wow.
Right, already open, just sitting there waiting for me to see it.
Wow.
And I was just almost fell over. I said, "It's right here. He's right here." And then the name of the cemetery was Pleasant View. How can that
Wow.
be? So we found the directions to that cemetery, and we found someone to meet us there. to help us, with a book, records of graves. But when we got there, I walked right through the gate, which was logs, and went right to his grave, though it was not marked. I
Wow.
went right there, and I knew that he was there. His
Wow.
spirit was there. There's no doubt that he came to meet me, and it was so sweet. And the man who was there said, well, we knew there was a baby there, but we didn't know whose baby it was. But he said that the leader of the church in that area had bought some space for such cases as this. And so he said, I'll put a marker there then, just, not anything expensive, just a stick or whatever. He said he'd mark it for us. And that was a really special experience that got me thinking, why didn't I get to hold my baby? And so I cried over that. It's very emotional for me now.
Yeah.
Well, I took Ken back when Nita, her husband, what was his name? Pete. When Pete was in the hospital and dying, we were headed to Portland to his funeral. And so we stopped there on the other side of the river I wanted to show Ken. I couldn't find it. It wasn't marked. And I couldn't get that same feeling or direction. I was confused, and I couldn't find it that time. I had some flowers to put there. It's an old pioneer cemetery. It's only dirt and weeds. But the mortician who took care of him and who was there for us, he somehow we got in touch with him, and he said that he remembers us and that he would be present if we moved this baby. And he said that it's been so dry there that everything should be intact, and that it costs money, to have a mortician present, but legally you have to. And he said he would be there. But that's now been along at least 25 years ago. So I'm sure he's gone now. And I've never done it, and I've always wanted to move him and bury him with Ken. And in fact, the guy who took care of the Ben Lomond Cemetery where Ken is, buried him a little deeper so that we could do that, put Patrick on top of him. But we haven't done it. Now that guy's dead. He died. Mike Story. He was taking care of that cemetery. So I got off on a tangent.
No,
and
that's not a tangent. That's
Part of your story.
that is very special. I'm honored to have heard this. I didn't know all of this. I knew none of this. I had heard that you had a son named Patrick, and I knew nothing about it. Of course, it was before I was born. So,
well, I guess I'm glad I told you about it.
Yes.
Nancy, John and Vicky named their Patrick after him.
Right. Okay. Well, I think this is probably a good stopping spot, if that's okay with you.
I feel good about it.
But
yeah, I don't know how long we've gone. How long
we've
have we
gone
on?
about an hour and a half.
Oh, that's a long, long time.
But I would like to show, if we can take a minute and just let me show Kamillia the photos.
Actually, here we go. Do it.
So I'm going to click on share screen. And
That's so not right. Hmm.
Okay, can you see my screen?
I can, but I think we should go in the TV room and turn the lights off in there. Let's go in there, Marcielle.
Okay, we've got too much light here.
Okay, all
for
right, go.
her eyes and mine.
Yeah, that's
we-
fine.
We share, except she's so much worse, but I'm coming along right behind her with eye problems. There we go. I got up. Yep, I got up. Here we go.
You see my
What? What do you need? Your glasses? Let's see.
well, never mind.
I don't actually see them. Here, you want to carry this? I'm gonna have these. Oh, where is it? Oh, there is some in there, a little. I only need a little. I don't want.
So most of the photos were from, these were slides, and a big chunk of them were from this 1989 reunion.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
Marcielle, I need you because we need to turn the TV off. Marcielle.
Here.
Marcielle,
Yeah.
can you turn the TV off?
Well, here.
Today we're going to catch up Ginger, one of our wedding grains, to see.
Okay, Artie.
And is Marcielle, Marcielle will want to see these. She's in several of them. Is she still around? Is anybody there? I'm not hearing anything.
1989 reunion. So who took these pictures?
Well,
How do you-
I don't know. They were in your slide. This and one of the, those, that material I got from your house in those boxes. There was a packet of slides, and I took the slides over to Walmart and had them developed. Oh no, I didn't take them to Walmart. I took them to another place. Anyway, I had them developed.
But they're not very big.
Okay, I'll make them bigger. So
So you know,
actually-
Daddy, this was the reunion in Oregon, right?
yes, this is Oregon.
Mhm. Okay, so Daddy and Vera hadn't been married very long.
Right. So that's actually me and Dad. Standing on this dock by this pond that was there. And then there's photos of Annette and Lynn and a bunch of their kids. I'll unless you want me to stop, I'll just kind of move through them and let you. Can you see that?
Yeah, but not very well. A lot of darks, a lot of shadows.
Not detailed very much.
But that's okay. Keep going.
Whoops. Anyway, there's two photos of Annette and Lynn in the boat with some kids.
Yeah.
Did Annette go away?
Yeah, she got off probably a half hour ago. She left the call.
So who's this little boy? Is that you?
No, that's Jason Compton, Jay's son, Jason.
Really?
His oldest,
Mhm,
Yeah,
his oldest son.
mhm.
right. That's his oldest son.
Mhm.
Oh, I tried to zoom in on it, but that didn't work very well. Anyway, so we know Jay was there. That's Mary Beth.
I think I took that picture, or I took one like it.
Well, she's
Mary Beth.
giving
She
it
looks fun.
interesting pose there. That's Mary Beth, and I'm thinking that's Aaron standing there. I'm not 100% sure. And there's another photo of Mary Beth again.
Well,
What a sexy girl she was.
And I believe that's Jared. Is that your son, Jared, Marcielle?
well, kind of looks like maybe so. Yeah,
I'm trying to
whoopsie.
zoom in. It keeps moving
Whoopsie.
around too much.
yeah, it's moving around.
It won't stop when I don't have to stop. Maybe if I click on this, there we go. I'm pretty sure that's Jared.
Doesn't look like it. to
It
me.
could be Mark.
I could be. I think it's Jared, and I think that's is that Sarah?
That's Cynthia's sister.
No.
Cynthia's sister was there.
I know Cynthia's sister was
was?
there. I know Cynthia's sister. I just don't think that's Cynthia's sister.
Well, I don't know.
Well, it looks a lot like Cynthia. Look at that mouth.
I don't know.
I guess there's an outside chance it's Cynthia's sister. She looks too short though. Cynthia's sister's taller than that.
Oh, you know, just
Um,
a while ago.
Well,
Anyway, okay. And then there's Aaron. I'm very sure that's Aaron now.
yeah, I think so. Gosh, though. Yeah.
And there's Kent Fowers and a little floaty.
And his typical smile.
Yeah. And then here's well, Kamillia, you're there in the center with Kenny and Becky and Amelia. And which child would I'm assuming that's Amelia. So which child is this? Is that Eric, or would you know, Marcielle?
Which one? Where? Down
Look,
here?
Yeah, down
Let's
where
see,
it got
let's
the
Get it. Okay, let's see. Let me get,
Here, I'll do it.
wait, okay.
oh
Whoopsie.
yeah, whoops. Let me zoom out. Anyway, little boy in the yellow with yellow sleeves.
I'd
Not
say
sh-
that's Eric. He's
Okay.
got curly, he has curly hair, doesn't he?
No, it's not Curly.
So,
So-
Well, I don't know.
Eric, so what's her other son's name? I'm drawing a blank.
Bryce or Tim?
Bryce. I'm gonna guess it's Bryce because Tim's closer to Amelia's age, right?
who's that? Oh,
Tim,
that's probably,
Tim is Matthew's age.
and that's Amelia.
Yeah, that's Amelia
That's Becky.
and that's
Kenny.
Becky.
And I guess that's me in the shadow there.
Yeah, you're right in the center in front of or behind Amelia.
What's that thing in front of that child? I think it's Eric. Tim and Matthew are 9 months apart.
Okay, maybe it's Eric then. And then here's a similar photo. We got Nancy on the side with Becky and Kenny and probably Eric. And there's Kenny. And there's my son calling.
Oh,
And
Hey,
these
Peter, can I
little
call you
girls-
back in a sec? Okay, bye.
Who are these little girls?
Um,
Can you tell?
my this says that one of them is Marilee. Just the face ID picked out Marilee, but I am not sure
what's
who
wrong?
the other one is.
Nancy's daughter.
Gosh. Oh, well. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I'll have to get Nancy on a call to figure this one out. But there they are again. And there we have Sarah and Jennifer Compton. That's Jay's daughter, Jennifer. And Julia Wilson is what I'm thinking.
Well, I think that's nice to have these pictures.
And there are three sisters, Marcielle and Larita and Nancy.
Nancy. Well, I'm
And-
assuming that that this is, it's either me or you. I
It's
never
you.
know for sure.
And
It's
there it is again, Marcielle, Larita, and Nancy, kind of a profile shot of the three of you.
Very nice.
And
Lovely.
then here's a whole bunch of girls. So we've
all
got
girls.
Kamillia
excellent.
and Vera and Marcielle and Larita and Nancy.
So is that supposed to be? Who's this?
I think that's me.
Is that you? And then I assume that that one right there is me then.
Yeah.
So
And,
Vera's in it. So Kamillia's on the left. Vera has got the hat. And then Marcielle on the other side of Vera. and then Larita, second to the right, and Nancy on the far right.
Well, that's a good picture to have too.
That's nice.
Oh, and there you are again, just a very slight variation of the same group.
Hmm.
And there's just a group shot of a bunch of us there at that reunion.
Daddy and Vera.
On the back,
That's
we've got
Annette, I guess.
back left is me, and
Yep.
then Joseph Alden is in a red shirt. You can hardly see Chad. Nancy's cutting off Chad. Jay's on the right back in a red cap. And then front left is Vera and Dad. And then Kamillia is next to Dad.
And
And then
Marcielle.
Marcielle's next to Kamillia.
And Afton.
Yep, there's Afton in the middle. And then Nancy and Annette and Larita.
That's a great picture.
It is.
So, yeah.
We ought to have print of that.
Well, I guess somewhere I still have the slides, and I suppose we can make a print of it. I just had digital copies made. I didn't have prints made, but we certainly.
I think that all the people in it would like to have a print.
Yeah, I'm sure you're
All the
right.
people that are still alive in it.
I think the postage might be pretty. You might have to pay a lot for the postage for Daddy. and
Okay,
Vera.
so that's the last of those.
That's Terry.
Yeah, then we're on to some other photos. Anyway, there's a few others. I'm trying to remember which ones they were. Oh, actually, hang on. I think if I go,
I've sent you quite a few photos just by email. You haven't responded, but I assume you got them.
I've put them all in here.
Okay.
And if I click on recently, come on, go recently added, that shows the ones I've recently been adding. I actually just loaded up several from my wedding that we just got.
Oh,
So, but anyway, I don't want to spend time on those.
I think it's one of Daddy and his dad.
Yeah,
Together,
so
side by side. Didn't you think that was interesting?
yes, I put that on here. Here it is.
Don't they look alike?
Yeah. And I put this one that you sent to me. It's a little fuzzy, but Mom, Dad, Joseph, Alden, me, Mia, and then you're right back there, I think, next to my arm.
Me? I
Yeah,
don't see me, but that's okay.
it's not a good photo of you.
Thank you.
And this picture of you in this chair and Mom in this chair.
Same chair.
Yeah.
Different people.
Yeah, so I've put all those on here. Every time I see a family photo, like this photo of Chad and Cynthia that he just sent today, I grabbed it and put it on here.
Isn't that a nice picture?
Yeah.
Were they out hiking again?
Yeah, Goblin Valley, which is kind of southern Utah.
who's this down?
So those are the these are other photos that were added or that were part of your collection. And I was trying to remember what they were. So there's this photo of Mom with puppies in Las Vegas.
I want to see her face better.
It's,
Yeah, that's so cute.
oops, wrong button.
Mother almost looks like one of us instead of herself.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so there's Mom with the puppies. This photo, which I shared on the family text thread of a bunch of you at Zion's, Afton, Bruce, Marcielle, Terry, and Kamillia.
I made my shirt and pants. I used to sew a lot and make my own clothes a lot. And
Who's that? Is that Terry?
let's see, that's Bruce.
There's
That's-
Bruce. Bruce is on the left, Terry is on the right as far as the boys go. And that would have been, around 1970 or something.
And then here, Afton's over here.
Hmm.
And you're there on the other end.
I've got a coat on.
Yeah, you did.
It was cold, I guess. It was probably Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was probably Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
And there's this photo.
This is
Um,
Kenneth, Grandma, and
Mother. And,
that's Lucille.
oh yeah, it is Lucille.
Is that Mother right there?
I think so.
Yeah, Mother's next to Lucille,
Mhm.
and Grandma's next to her, and Kenneth is next to her. So we got Lucille, who's a Compton,
Mhm.
with a bunch of Chandlers.
Right. That's a little unusual. This looks like Grandma and Grandpa's house behind, at least part of it. Well, and I've never seen this picture.
Well, it was in your slides.
Well, I think that's because Daddy took it, of course.
That may be. But there's some photos of you that are coming up here in a minute in this same, like, part of the same trip, I can tell. So there's Mom and Grandma.
Grandma's eyes are shut.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that's,
What's that?
Mrs. Ossis? Oh, that's Grandma Compton's house.
Yeah, that is.
okay, is that Grandma? I gotta write that on here.
Yeah, it
Grand,
is. And Lanny only recently sold that.
Did he? So, I didn't know that. So do you remember the address? What's the street?
It's 3rd Street.
So you can put Polly Compton / Grover Lanny / anyway, house on 3rd Street in Weiser.
okay,
And right now, of course, it's so overgrown with, or at least it was
Yeah,
when we
it's
saw
hard
it
to even
last.
see the house
Mhm.
with all the trees and bushes. That's the same way it was. We talked about Belgium, did I?
No, you haven't gotten there yet. There's a second edition
So-
of this because
is this, Kamillia, something just tells me this might be you, although I can't see.
wait
I-
just a minute. I don't know. Boy, that roof needs work, doesn't it? Um, So you think that's me? I
Yeah.
cannot possibly tell you. I just can't see it. Does that look like me to you?
Whoa, I can't see a face.
So this would have been, I'm wanting to be able to date this, but, oh, here's this other photo. Hang on, let me go back a little bit, because I think there's another photo. Okay, here's a photo of, I think
Grandma
that's,
Chandler's house. See, there's the addition of the
There it is, it
bathroom.
sticks right out there, doesn't it? Yeah.
see, that's you, Kamillia, wearing the same coat as in the other photo. See, I've got to be a detective with this thing here.
Well, in Zions Park.
No,
No.
the one by Grandma Compton's home.
Well, it's
Yeah, it's the same coat that she was wearing, and yeah, so this is the Chandler house.
yes.
So my question is, when was this?
1965. So that's the one that Mia kept saying when he was showing us pictures. 1965, just choose 1965. Well, you know what? Something happened. And so you think that other one in front of the Compton house? Yep, I would have had to have been with Daddy because these are photos he took.
Yeah, see, there's this photo and then this photo right
when,
here. Again, there's
Grandma
you.
died?
There's you in the same coat, although we can't see you very well. I'm just saying it's the same trip and you're there. And I don't know who's on the step over here. I don't know that we can figure it out. Looking at this car, that looks like a 1960 something car. But so we've got, but again, with the same group of pictures, we've got Lanny and Lucille and Kamillia and Mom and Barbara. And I'm kind of guessing it's all the same trip because these were all together.
Oh, probably then. Lucille, or wait,
Oh, do you want me to go back to that one?
no, it's fine.
Who's this right here?
Go back to that
Okay.
group shot.
Who is that?
I think
So
that's me.
from the left, we've got Lanny
No,
and
that's
then
not.
Lucille, and then Kamillia is in the middle with her hair in curlers or something.
Hmm.
And then mom is second to the right. And then Barbara's on the far right.
You know what I think? I think this is when Grandma Compton died,
I was
And we-
wondering that.
and we were at Lucille's house. And that would have brought us all together. And I wouldn't have had curlers unless I felt really comfortable, probably in the house I was staying in. So,
Where did I stay? I was at Grandma Compton's funeral, but not Grandma Chandler's because we were in Belgium.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I don't know where I stayed.
Mhm.
Okay,
We were all,
so Grandma Compton died in 1970 or 71 or something like that, it seems like.
if you put that date or right around it, I think you'll be correct. And
I
then I
can-
think we probably made a tour and Daddy took a few pictures of the
Right.
various houses, because this looks like, let's see, whose house would that have been?
So there's mom with Kenneth and her mom.
So her mother was still alive. And
And-
Kenneth was alive, I know, when Grandma Compton died.
So tell me about this general store. So
Which one
that's,
is,
it says general store on the side, and we've got dad and mom and Kamillia standing in front.
it was that little store that was down the street from Grandma Chandler's house on Main Street.
Okay,
Yes. I sort of remembered that, standing in front of it to get that picture.
I can almost see the house number on there, like the street number. Can I zoom in any closer?
It's on Main, and the commercial street went alongside of it. And
It
he lived on-
says something 58.
Well, Grandma's home was 903 East Main Street, and this was even farther east.
It looks like 016 or 0, I can't quite see it.
Are you talking about the store that was on down the street, but we didn't often go to?
We did go to it because
Not often.
Not often,
Not
no.
as often as the one.
The
on
store
And
down
can't
the
remember.
street,
I don't think this is that one down the street.
I think so, this overhang. But I think this is, we wouldn't have stood in front of it if it was just any old store. Also,
okay.
that store is really strong in my memory. Now,
Well, those are the photos that were from that slide set. Oh, let's see, here's, we didn't look at this one. Again, there's you again, Kamillia.
let's see. Whose house is this, I wonder?
So it says 607 right there.
Hmm.
Who lived at a 60? Did somebody live at a 607?
Well, Grandma was still alive and house. No, she wouldn't have been. Where Grandma
Oh,
Chandler-
one of those cabins.
One of those small
That's
houses.
that's probable. Uh-huh.
Yeah, who is this?
Well, I can't see who.
It's you, Kamillia.
That's me?
Yes, that's you sitting on the front step of whatever this is, and it says 607 right there.
Okay.
I think
So
that
that
was
would
the little cabin that Grandma moved into when she moved out of her house.
yeah.
Right across the street from the church, straight across.
Grandma Compton?
Chandler.
Chandler.
Okay, so Hazel, I should put a name. Hazel
Chandler.
Chandler moved into after she moved out of her house.
Yes. And it makes sense that it would have the address of 6
Yeah,
because her house or
3 more blocks would have been 9.
Okay,
It was about 3 blocks that we walked. After church. all
It
the
was.
time.
seemed longer than that, didn't it?
Well, we were just little kids.
Our little legs. That was a time. I remember standing, staring into a puddle on that cracked sidewalk. And I could see the clouds from the sky and the puddle. And I got dizzy. Because I felt like I felt I was falling into the sky.
What is that? Is that the school?
I'm
Oh.
looking.
This is Dad. I'm standing in front of.
Oh, I bet it's one of those Victorian houses that we lived in when we were little. I mean, really little babies.
Okay, that would be a big house.
Well, it was a big house. Those big houses, they
Wait.
were old.
I think we
Okay.
lived on. Yeah, it seems to me, oh, look at that way up there. I think we lived on the top floor. There was a man with tuberculosis in that house.
Oh.
And I used to go visit him. And when Mother realized that, she was pretty upset. So he either lived on the bottom floor and I went down, or he lived on the top floor and I went up. I don't know which. But here I am. I'm still alive. But yes, that's one of the Victorian houses.
Okay,
There were quite a few of them on Main Street.
all right.
And scattered around town too.
Mhm.
Let's go back to Weiser.
I don't want to go back. It's so different.
I want to though.
And
Well, that's for sure.
this is a photo of Kamillia and Carmen.
Oh, let's see.
So, somewhere green.
Somewhere green. Yeah, I think it even looks like Southern California.
Yeah.
Because of that. And I was wearing glasses, big ones. And I don't remember that dress. But anyway, I have a feeling, I don't know where it was.
Okay,
You know, if we were with Daddy and Mother, we might have been out someplace or.
well, I have a feeling this might be completely separate from the others. It's just, it doesn't seem to.
No.
Is there a building back here?
Let me check. Artie, just a second. I'm trying to zoom in on the background. There's
Okay.
another person there. Doesn't look familiar.
Yeah,
No,
that
Well,
other
it's palm
person's
trees
not.
anyway,
Yeah.
So for sure, it's Southern California.
It's palm trees, yes. But what was that dress?
I've only walked 159 steps today.
Well, okay, that's fine. Just again, I wanted you to just see those since I had got those slides from you and just wanted you to see what was in them.
I really appreciate it. And
So,
so those slides, did I fish them out of the closet again, the same closet, or do you remember where I got them?
they were just in one of the boxes. I don't remember which of these boxes you gave me 2 boxes of stuff basically. Or actually 3, and I just found a packet of slides in there, and I thought, well, I'll never know what they are unless I do something with them. So I went and had them developed so we could, you know, see
I'm
what they
so
were.
glad. I'm so glad you're doing this, Artie. Really.
It really is wonderful, but I don't see how you have all that time. Have you seen Tucker recently dancing?
Well, somebody sent something a few weeks back of him dancing, and it was very good.
Very good. Yeah.
Well, he's moved along and doing more things now.
Yeah, he's probably better than I was when I was at BYU.
Well, I don't know about that, but he's learning all those dances
Well,
and all those moves and
Yeah,
how to
he's-
hold his hand, you know, at his
Sure.
tummy. And I just think
He's-
it's wonderful.
he started about a decade or something earlier than I did, because I didn't really start till after I got off my mission, and he's starting at a very young age. So he's at an age where he can really develop the muscle memory and the patterns and really become very proficient by the time he's an adult. So he's on track to becoming really good. He's already
Yeah.
very good, but he could become really, really good.
Well, I don't know what he'll do with it.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know.
unless he can get into college, you know, get a what do you call those things?
a scholarship.
A scholarship with
He
it. I
might,
don't
he might be
know.
able to.
You know, Artie, but I have to tell you, one of my memories of you is being at the log house, visiting Mother and Daddy, and you and Loretta came home, and all the you're walking, everything you did was a dance step. It was, yeah, I was so impressed. I thought
There was
he-
a window of time where I was just, you're right, everything I did was a dance step. I was really in love with ballroom dance for a
Mhm.
window of time. And I actually thought about, maybe doing it professionally, but I realized that just wasn't going to be my path to have that be a career. So life
Mhm.
moves on.
Well, I do remember you as being very good. And
But it was, I'm so glad I had that window of time in my life where I was on the
Mhm.
ballroom dance team. That was just really a dream come true, and I just absolutely loved it.
And I love
Um,
watching you.
So did you get to go on a foreign tour?
No, I never did get on the tour team. That's kind of when I decided to back off. I was kind of at that stage where being on the tour team was a serious consideration. I was just right on the edge of being considered, and I thought if I work a little bit more, give it another semester, I think I'll get on the tour team. And I just had to decide. And I just, at that point, I just felt like, you know what, it's been a really, really fun ride, but I think I need to get on with life now.
How old were you?
Oh, 23 or 24.
That's early to make a kind of final decision like that.
What's that?
I say that's a little early to make a final decision like that,
Well,
to
I
leave
think it was
something behind.
it was the right decision for the time. It was just, again, I absolutely loved it, but I just had that sense it's time to move on, and it was.
Well, I've
So,
told you before how much dancing is in our genes, not
Yeah.
just in the Chandlers who just lived for dancing, but also I told you when after Barbara's husband died and she had those crippled feet and crippled hands, she told me when Daddy and I went to visit, that she just loved to dance. So she started going to the dances after her husband died.
wow.
And I thought, in the first place, of course, the first thought that came to me was, how can she dance? Because her feet were so crippled. But she
And her hands.
and her hands, but she loved to dance. Not only that, she started taking piano lessons with those crippled hands.
Wow.
And she just, really pursued things that she loved at that point.
Because he
That's
wouldn't
great.
let her
No, he was not happy with her playing the piano or
singing.
Huh.
any of, and she had a gorgeous voice, just a beautiful, beautiful soprano voice. In any case, and of course, Kenneth, Wallace, Mother, Daddy, all of them, Nita was passionate about dancing. So they all danced their way through their teen years and into their 20s. And
Yeah.
and I remember watching Mother and Daddy twirl around the dance hall when we lived in Toppenish and doing, I think, the jitterbug. But I just can remember them turning and turning and turning all around the edge of the dance floor. Wonderful dancers. So,
Well, something I don't mention very much, but one of the sad things of my life is that Mom passed away. She was coming from St. George to
Oh,
northern
yes.
Utah because I invited her to the ballroom dance concert,
Right.
yes.
and I had to perform that night. I got the
Oh.
phone call that Mom and Dad were in an accident, and I had bought a bunch of tickets for family to come,
No.
and I had to give all those tickets away. Annette came. Annette was the only one that came because she came to get me and take me back up to Ogden. And so she came to the ballroom dance concert. I gave away all the other tickets to friends and just said, I've got extra tickets. Who wants them? And I had to perform that night, and not knowing what's happened.
Right.
That was a sad thing, of course, to
Of
then have to go back up there and yeah. It's crazy.
Face what had happened and how serious it was.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you haven't felt any responsibility for their accident because of that.
Did for a while, but I think I've let that go. It did bother me for a while. That
Mhm.
and Dad actually said something sharp to me about it.
He did?
Yeah, he said we were coming up to your stupid dance concert,
Oh dear. Mhm.
but
But that's not all they came for.
I
Mother
know.
was going to something with the
Those
blind and the deaf.
Yeah.
I had never heard that.
She was going to a meeting.
It had to do with children who were,
Oh, I had never heard that before. Anyway, I forgive Dad because I know he at that point. I mean, that was when he was in the hospital and Mom was still alive, and they were both suffering, and so he was in a suffering, painful state. So I don't hold that against him. Well, I don't know what it's like to be in his shoes, so what can I can't judge. Anyway, it happened. It is what it is, and you know, just always will be grateful for the time I did have with Mom and Dad. They left my life when I was still way too young, but will be forever blessed for the time I had and having them as my parents. Well, okay, let's wrap up. Are you guys still there? I don't hear you at all. You've gone silent. Okay, well, I guess I'll hang up because I don't hear you. And this is probably a good stopping spot. So, oh, I heard, oh, now I'm hearing you.
Okay, well, we'll say goodbye and thank you, Arden, for all that you are doing.
Okay, you're fading away again. I don't know, are you covering a microphone or what? But anyway, I think I heard you say thank you. So
Yeah, I did.
yes,
Thank you.
and thank you so much.
now I can hear you. Okay, well, you are welcome. And this is really a treat for me. I am learning so much about my family, and this is wonderful. So I will, again, I'm going to make a YouTube video of this. We'll share it with the family, and you, Marcielle, you can share it with your kids or whoever you want to pass it along to.
I learned some things listening to her tonight that I didn't know about her.
Are you sure he can hear you?
Can you
Yes,
hear me?
I can hear you now.
And I also, she told me, of course, tonight, the names of all the schools we went to, which I just knew they were there. I didn't have names for them. She's so remarkable with things like that.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, and her courtship with Ken, I was so involved with Carmen. I had no idea what my little sister was doing.
Right.
So I learned quite a bit too.
Okay.
It's really
Well,
interesting.
All right, I'm gonna let you go. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy
Thank
the rest
you.
of your time together. How long are you down there for, Marcielle?
Till the 9th of May.
Okay. Well, if you get back up by the 13th, my daughter Abigail's getting married on the 13th.
And I'm hoping to get there.
Good, good. We'd love to have you there. So,
And I probably won't be there, Artie, so.
okay, well, that's forgivable, but if there's, hey, get Mia to drive you up and come. It would be wonderful to have you there, but I understand if you're not. So, okay,
Yeah.
all right, good night. See you later.
Good night,
Bye-bye.
Artie.
All right,
Thank
bye.
you.